Hi everyone, welcome to Making Lemonade. I'm your host, Noah Rodriguez-Hoffman. In 2009, Freya Estreller and Natasha Case joined forces to create Coolhaus, the powerhouse ice cream and frozen dessert brand. But in 2013, it all came tumbling down. Find out what happened and how the duo went from selling ice cream on the Coachella campgrounds to distributing in grocery stores across the country and scoop shops in Los Angeles and Dallas, and an ice cream truck fleet in Los Angeles, Dallas, and New York City. Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your story with us. So why don't you start by telling me, how you met Freya?
I went to Berkeley, but I studied abroad in Italy with Cornell. Freya went to Cornell in New York. A friend introduced us, thought we would be best friends. We exchanged business cards. She thought I was flirting with her. We just ended up messaging all day, and I was telling her about how I was working on this food and architecture idea, making ice cream sandwiches from scratch, naming the combinations after architects. And she was so intrigued by it. We ended up going on our first date. We really instantly fell in love with each other, and we started to explore making my ice cream sandwich quirky art project a business. She said, well, let's go to Whole Foods. We're going to make a pro forma, which I didn't even know what that was. Going to the grocery store, even a Whole Foods at the time, the brands didn't feel authentic to us. They didn't feel like they represented us as millennials, as women, as gay women, Freya as a woman of color. And we thought, let's create the brand that we want to buy. The recession had just hit. This was back in 2009. And the only way we could really figure out to launch in a way that was, going to get us to the market quickly and be cost efficient was with an ice cream truck. So we found a beat up postal van for $2,500 with no engine. And we thought, what's the biggest event that would be the coolest to launch at? And that was Coachella. And we begged them to let us sell there. They were so annoyed, I think, at our persistence that they said yes. We got to get the truck to Coachella. How are we going to do that? It has no engine. Well, we got a AAA platinum membership that came with a 200-mile tow. And so the morning of Coachella, pretended the truck broke down, even though it never drove, and they towed us to the desert, and that is how we launched the brand. We were the first food truck to ever sell at Coachella. I don't think you could just launch at Coachella and stand out the way we did back then. So that's why timing's really important, I think, when you're starting a business. By the time we got back to LA, we had 10,000 Twitter followers, which was a huge deal at the time. That felt really, validating to continue. And Freya and I became very close very fast. It's funny because there's a lesbian stereotype about the second date is a U-Haul. Our second date was an ice cream truck. So kind of similar. It was pretty cool. Those early days were pretty amazing.
And today you guys distribute across the country, but I'm sure that hasn't come without its obstacles. What would you say has been some of the biggest obstacles that you guys have had to overcome?
Growing the business with your significant other, we had very different management styles. Freya kind of hit a breaking point with it all. And when someone's really done, you kind of know. Ultimately, I think it was better for everyone and even the company. For me, I think it did make me a better leader because I was depending on her too much. So that was a more personal one, I think, with the story. And then on the other side, I think really big challenges, I think we really started with ice cream sandwiches and we just dominated those. And then I think people eventually expected us to make pints and to sort of play in that more traditional ice cream space. And so we did. And we spent a lot of time and money and effort trying to win at a game that is so saturated and competitive. Now we've really pivoted back to leaning into the novelties. So we have our cones that are just about to come out. They're lined with chocolate and then churro cookie dough and chocolate chip swirl on top of chocolate that are amazing. We're kind of really retooling the strategy, and this is going to be, I think, what really makes us the household brand of our generation.
With events starting back up, are you guys still doing live activations and things like that?
We are, and we've managed to kind of do something all through the pandemic. We've found ways to still bring people the magic and the experience, even when it was hardest. And I want to keep those parts alive because I think those can only bring growth as our kind of more, typical business returns.
Amazing. Is there any lessons or advice that you have for someone that's just getting started?
I think firstly it's you want to know just enough to start. So do your research, but you don't want to over research or feel like, oh, you don't know enough to get something started, because sometimes when you know too much, it's actually a deterrent of doing something. It becomes analysis paralysis and you just need to take action. And then secondly and this is especially for women who are starting their business, is the vision and putting it on the page and really thinking of it, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year. What does this mean for me? Am I going to be fulfilled and satisfied? Am I going to make enough to support myself and feel like I'm accomplishing my personal goals? Am I going to have time to do the other things that I want to do as well? I'm just a huge fan of getting that all on the page. And it's amazing when you write something down, how much more likely it is to happen.
The original name wasn't Coolhaus. What was the original name?
So the company is called Farchitecture, Food Plus Architecture. Yes, that's our LLC name. And it's, yeah, I'm glad you're laughing because it's meant to be a silly word. And that's kind of what I want to do, is make architecture and design just more fun and friendly and joyful. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I wish you guys all the best. You guys are married, and you guys just tell a little bit about how your family's doing. What are you guys up to?
We do have a happy ending, which is Freya and I are very happily married. We have 2 kids, a 4-year-old boy, Remy, and we actually had a pandemic baby, and Nico is our daughter. Nico's not had so much ice cream yet, but Remy is a huge ice cream connoisseur.
I love it. Well, continue making that delicious ice cream. I'm definitely going to need to try that churro one.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. That's our show for today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss next week's Making Lemonade episode. I'm your host, Noah Rodriguez Hoffman. A million thanks for watching.